Tonight's sheet is dedicated to Zeif Nishmas, Revenzian ben Sora. I'm sorry, Revenzian ben Yisrael, as it's written on the notes. Okay, there was 250 years ago, 300 years ago, there was a big tzaddik. His name was Chaim Yosef David Azulai, and they need desperate. It's Yisrael. They were desperate for for financial support for the Eden that it's Yisrael. He packed his bags as a young man and he traveled all over the world, shute the globe for those days. To think about where he traveled, just to give you an idea, he traveled and he's had 143 stops over like 2 years. He traveled literally the entire civilized world of those days. It's a sefer called Magal Tov. It was a diary a diary of
A lot of pictures.
yeah. Now, this was once a little booklet, you sell for $1.99. If you want to sell it for $59.99, sorry, $49, you got to add a few pictures here and there and make it nice. I'm joking. I mean, they put in a lot of work. They put in a lot of
You
work.
say all over, just Europe and North Africa.
Yeah, no, America. America
For
wasn't.
what then? I'm saying
Uh,
for what was then considered traveling all over.
Did he even go to India?
No. He's right. He was Israel, Turkey, and whatever, a few countries near Turkey, Italy, Sicily, Austria, Germany, Holland, Amsterdam, England, France. But whatever. Back then
No, Russia.
it wasn't Russian to go to Russia. Okay.
How many years ago?
He traveled in the year. He left Yerushalayim in the year 1753. He came back in 1758.
Did he bring money
Yeah, a lot of money.
to help Yerushalayim?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so he said
no, he died in Italy.
that was it. This was the second time. I don't think he died in this first.
He was buried in Livorno.
I think because he went back a second time. That's what I think. I'm not the big because I think this was when he was quite young. Then he came back successfully, and then he went. And then Taki passed away in Livorno, and he was buried there. Okay. They said so. He said he was in Tunisia, and they had the Seder, and the Bala Seder, they had they had a meaning that they picked up the kite and they put it on everyone's head.
Yeah.
The Bala Hagoda would walk around. He put 3 times over everyone's head, and then when he came to the women, he had a suffix if he has to do 3 times or 1 time. So there was the rabbi was there from Yerushalayim. The rabbi must paskin.
Party rabbi?
The Chidah was a Sephardi rabbi, right? So he turned to the Chidah. What's the Chidah supposed to say? It's not in the Shulchan Aruch and not in the commentaries of the Shulchan Aruch. He said, "It's a good question. It's a prophetic pasuk. It says, Rechem Rachem Osayim L'Rosh Gever." His name was Rachem, the man that was reading the Agoda. And it said when Devorah was scoffed, laughed at the enemies of the Jewish people in the last few words of her Shida, so she said that the goyim, they're thinking that and the friends of Sisri's mother are telling her, don't worry, he's winning the war. Racham Asayim Larosh Gover. That every one of the Gever, the guys fighting in the war, stole 1 or 2 Jewish girls. And then, but obviously the opposite was true. She was laughing at them. So he said, the Pasuk says, Larosh Gever, Rachamim has to do it 2, 3 times, but Larosh Yisha only 1 time. The Yidden said, wow, Chacham, Tzaddik, Tzaddik. Okay, all jokes aside, I have 6 Vartoides from the Chidah, from his Agoda. Agoda's Chidah is called Marabel Saper. I have 6 little pieces and 6 Vartoides, 6 stories. It says moitzi matzah. You have to get rid of matzah. The matzah meriva. You have to get rid of machloikas from your heart. Chazal say that a person should always eat 1/3 less. Why? Because if he gets angry, he'll cook up and then nicht gefährlich. But if he eats full and he gets angry, he's gonna bust. So this Chido says that's why it says that tzaddik oichel l'soy v'nachshay. Tzaddik who knows he's not going to get angry, so he could eat the 100%. Because why did they say you should eat? You should, and 33% of your stomach you should leave empty just in case you get angry, so you have room to explode. But that tzaddik is oichel l'soy v'nachshay. Doesn't matter. Cute word. I'm going to tell you a beautiful story from a Rav Telesman sent. It was published in the Kfar Chabad magazine. Here. One paper, two papers, here. So he said like this. He was about tshuva, and he came to learn Adar Torah, and he got married. He heard that the Rebbe gives out a piece of matzah, but if you say that you have a lot of orchim, he give you an extra few pieces of matzah. He just was newly married. He told his wife he wants to get a lot of matzah from the Rebbe. So we're going to invite a lot of guests. So
That's a good way to get more money.
yeah. So what happened was the first night of Pesach they were already invited out. So this is the second night they had 18 guests. A young couple, Malay Tshuva, Nishgring. He didn't realize what he's getting signed up to. It's not like when you grow up from machatchila, that it takes time to check the lettuce and to dry it, and in your mind that just preparing for the Seder plate could take close to a whole day. Between everything that you have to do to prepare and to move in the food, it takes time. He's working all out of Yom Tov. He didn't realize it's going to take so long, the mortar and the charoises and the lettuce. At midnight, he looks at the clock, and it's mamish, a very short time to shkia. He ran to 770. As he comes close to 770, the side door, that's where this guy rammed his car in, the third door, goes up to the Rebbe's office, just closed. No, I'm in it. Sorry, I never already walked into his room. He was so upset. Someone told him that after Maidu, the Rebbe gives out matzah again for people that didn't get a chance. Oh, went home. He ran to the mikveh. After Maidu, he went up, asked the Rebbe for matzah. So there was a short line. The Rebbe gave him a piece of matzah. And then he tells the Rebbe that he has a lot of orch. The Rebbe turns around. Kilu, he's going to get more matzah. Then the Rebbe turns back. The orchim are there tonight or tomorrow night? He says tomorrow night. The Rebbe says tonight is the Chlil Yom Tov. And you're not allowed to be mechen from Yom Tov to Yom Tov, from one day to the other day. So come to me tomorrow night. Okay. When he left, he asked anyone, this is the usual thing that I've asked. Never, ever did I ever ask such a thing. Okay? He came home, he said, instead of matzah, I had a story of Ruach HaKodesh. Next night, the Rebbe told him to come. He came.
Where did he come to?
He came to, in front of the Rebbe's office. Then, when you walk.
That's already Yom Tov.
Second day Yom Tov. The second night. So the Rebbe gave him only one piece.
Wait a minute, but
the first night of Pesach.
The Rebbe was in his office or in his house?
In his office.
On Yom Tov?
Yeah. The Rebbe was in his office for 42 years straight. Never went out. He came home.
I mean, for Yom Tov, he was.
Yeah, the Yom Tov, the Rebbe was. Yeah, no, he went home later, much later. So it's next night after Maidav, he went up to the Rebbe's office and he knocked on the door. So one of the secretaries opened the door What do you want? He says, there's a matzah. I said, oh, it doesn't work that way. He started screaming and yelling. He said, what do you mean? The Rebbe said I should come. Okay. Wait a minute. He went to the Rebbe's room, and the Rebbe said, Taka, I told him I'm going to give him matzah. He came out with a paper bag with a lot of matzah. The Rebbe gave him matzah. That's it. So besides coming home with the story of Ruach HaKodesh, he also came home with a lot of the Rebbe's matzah. Okay. Another word from the Shiur. It says Morer Koirich. How does a person get rid of the Meridus on another Yid through Koirich? You wrap up the other Yid with Ava. Because it says Al Kol P'Shem T'chas Ava. If you love another Yid, you're not going to see anything wrong with the other Yid. You're only going because. So that's a Pshat Morer Koirich. In order to not to have Meridus Alev on another Yid, you have to smother the other Yid. You have to wrap him around with Ava. We call Al Kol P'Shem T'chas Ava. There's a beautiful story in Talks and Tales. Oh, terrific story. I mean, it's one of my favorite Pesach stories. I know I never shared it here but it's really one of my favorite stories. My kids love to hear it every single year without exception. There was a Yid many years ago. He came to Rome to do business. And at that time, it was forbidden for Jews to live in Rome. What happened was that he disguised himself as not a Yid, and he did his business. He was planning to go home for Pesach, obviously, but that year there was terrible rain, and the roads were neskalkel. He couldn't go home, so he was stuck for Pesach in Rome. Okay, there's no matzah, he has no water, no charosis. Okay, he's not going to eat the chametz, but nothing. And he's at a Pesach. Where's he gonna? What is he gonna do? There must be another Jew. Where's he gonna find the Jew? So he had an eitzah. He went to the marketplace and he looked where they're selling modern.
Who's buying?
Who's buying modern on Erev Pesach? He's looking. All of a sudden, there was a very fancy wagon that comes into the marketplace, and everyone runs over. Says, "Who is it? You don't know? This is the mayor. Everyone loves this mayor. He's the favorite mayor. Everyone loves it." Jumps off the wagon. People say, "Why are you here?" He said, "I'd like to come see what's going on in the marketplace." And he goes from stall to stall. In the meantime, he sees that there was a mishamish working for the mayor. Jumps out of the wagon when no one notices. And he goes to one of the stalls and he buys a huge package of mortar. And he jumps back on the wagon and he's waiting. And the mayor notices that the guy's back in the wagon. So he waves to goodbye to everyone. They go on the wagon. Gegangen. Wow. The mayor? He's a Yid. Can't be. But he's chalashing. It's before Pesach. If he'll walk over to the mayor and ask him a question like this, I mean, he could lose his head. And he couldn't. He was so sure that the guy's a Yid. He asked, "Where's the residence of the mayor?" He went. It was a palatial house. Knocked on the door. They told the guards it's something very secretive, an emergency. He must talk to the mayor. Okay. They bring him into the house. He waits. The mayor comes and he tells the mayor. He says, "I'm Jewish, and I need a place for the Seder. I was in the marketplace, and I saw that your servant went and got murdered. Can I please join your Seder?" This guy's like, blurted out. And he's shaking. Like, the mayor didn't say anything, grabbed him by his hand, walked into the other room, closed the door. He opened up from the wall a secret entrance. They walk down the steps. There's a beautiful long table, and it's all set up with kaitis, matzahs, yayin, everything is. And the mayor shows him a room. He says, "This will be your room. Rest up. We'll call you when we're ready." Somebody he rests up in the room. They knock on the door. They call him. See, he comes out of the room. There's a whole bunch of people there. No one looks Jewish, but everyone seems to be Jewish. Mit Gedachen Münster, mit Gedachen Meide. And they sat down for the Seder. It seemed beautiful. Wasn't all his customs, but it was like a beautiful Seder. At the end of Shulchan Aruch, they brought the waiters bring in a delicious looking cheesecake, something he's never seen in his lifetime. They pass it around and everyone takes a piece. Oh, Mr. Mayor, the best cheesecake. Oh, the best cheesecake I've ever had in my life. Ooh, this cheesecake, everyone's ranting and raving about the cheesecake. Verstehe nicht. It's such amaratzen. They don't know that you can't eat. So he says, gentlemen, I don't understand. We just ate meat. You eat cheesecake for dessert? They said, what's wrong? He says himself. These guys don't know that you're not allowed to eat cheesecake after meat. So tell me, they know what's kosher matzah. He must have eaten al chometz. There may be a nusim, they don't know, but if they don't know you can't mix milk and meat, he instead of eating matzahs, he ate chometz. He gets so upset, and he started to cry. He said, and the mayor said, take it easy. This is not bad. This is our custom. We're this is you're making a mistake. So he was so upset. He cried. He said, I can't believe it. I can't. When the people saw that he's crying and he's falling apart, the mayor smiled and he said, let me explain something to you. This is part of cheesecake. We have a special recipe. We make it out of almonds. So why didn't you say to us so? He said, we have to test you. We don't know if you're really Jewish or not. Maybe you're from the Inquisition. If you would have eaten a piece of that cheesecake, you would never walk out of this basement. You'd be buried right here. So you're lucky you didn't just eat from the cheesecake. Beautiful story. Tucks and tails.
So the cheesecake wasn't part of it. It was really more.
No. It was part of it. They wanted to test him. They wanted to test if he's really a Yid.
Oh.
They said if he'd eaten and not cried, they would have killed him. They would have known that he's a spy for the Inquisition. And now that he cried at the Basa Bacholov, so they realized that was his tag, that he was really
He was there or he was just doing business?
Anyway, story from the Talks and Tales. Next, Shulchan Aruch. The idea of Shulchan Aruch is that Chazal say that a Anim bnei Beischa, that a Yid has to be, Chazal say, Gedoyle legima shezoichel hashras hashchina. And the Gemara says that we see there was a Navi Sheker that invited the Navi Emes to his house, and because he gave him to eat, he was zoichet to have nevuah, even though he was a Navi Sheker, just from Achnos Sorcha. There's a beautiful story from the Tzemach Tzedek. It was a Yid that came to the Tzemach Tzedek, and he said that his parents kicked him out of his. He was renting up from his parents at the inn, and the parents told him that's it. He's got to pack his bags and go. That's his whole parnasa. So he asked the Tzemach Tzedek if he could help him. The Tzemach Tzedek said, is there any Yidden that are friendly with this parents? So he said, yeah, there's Sashtadlan. His name was Reb Moshe. There were two Reb Moshes in that town. One of them was tall guy, one was short. So there was the big Reb Moshe and the short Reb Moshe. He said the short Reb Moshe is a shrewd guy. He's Dreitzach med the parents. If you write a letter to him, then he could maybe influence the parents. So Tzedek wrote a letter. When he left, he realized that it was, instead of whatever the last name of the little Reb Moshe was, he wrote it to the other Reb Moshe. He can't go back to the Tzemach Tzedek. He already walked out. So he told him, Nebai said, Tzemach Tzedek made a mistake. They told him, no, Tzemach Tzedek doesn't make mistakes. If this is what he wrote, this is what you have to do. Okay, Shtakim Breda. So he found he went to the other Moshe, and Moshe says, I don't know what to do. But if Tzemach Tzedek said you should come to me, stay in my house till Yeshua will come. You have a room in the attic for you, sit and say Tehillim, and the Yeshua will come. He's saying Tehillim at night with the light of a candle. And what happened was right outside, in this there was the Poritz was in his wagon with his daughter, and one of the wheels broke on their wagon, and there was a big blot, and it started to rain, and the Poritz, the servants couldn't clean it, and they couldn't fix it, and he's stuck. He sees that there's a house and there's a candle, so he comes with his daughter and knock on the door. So the Yid opens the door and he sees this is his Poritz. So he goes, he wakes up the Balabais, and he tells him, this is my Poritz, this is okay. He brings in the Poritz and his daughter and his servant, and he gives them tea, and he gives them dry clothing, and he gives them a room to sleep in. And the next day, the Poritz was so happy, and the Poritz says he wants to pay the Yid. The Yid says, we Jews, we do Achnasas Orchem. By us, it's Shulchan Aruch. That's it. We don't take any payment. I want to pay you. He said, you want to pay me? I think, let me call my brother. I have a brother that lives in one of your towns. He calls from upstairs, and the Yid comes down. The father says, this is your brother? I'm so embarrassed. I told him that he has to leave the kretschmer. You know what? The kretschmer is yours. You never have to pay me rent. Chosav v'chosim. They wrote the shtar, and then he understood that the Tzemach Tzedek didn't make any mistakes. Next piece. It's a beautiful, cute lumbus, and it's in the name. The Chidah says it in the name of the Zayis Ranan, the Magen Avram. It's such a cute lumbus. Ilo hoitze Kodesh Baruch Hu tzvetzenu Mitzrayim. Hariyonu v'neinu mshubadim meyinu. Neither this is a medrash. It says in the medrash, "Lo yotze Yisrael Mitzrayim al shama pare areatam b'shuscha." The medrash says that Pari told the Yidden areatam b'shuscha. Funny medrash. Pari has to say at areatam b'shuscha. Give them like a star shichem. What's the pshat? Pirush b'zayis ranon, which is a pirush from the Magen Avram in the medrash Tanchuma. V'rotzalema d'adayin lo shol mo'is tov shonim shechem lis begolos. Pari nosen lahem hashonim v'mechilas matana. Kilu. The Eibusha said that they're meshubah to Pari for 400 years. They were only there for 210. So he was Moichel 109 years. The Iksha now, Ifrek the Magen Avram, Kaimlam Bababasa Tal Yov, Matona Lo Yov, Maton Lo have a Matona. If you force someone to give you a Matona, the Matona is not a Matona. Tal Yov is different, but Tal Yov Matona is not a Matona. The Tiris Mishum, the Mitzvah Kaim Divrei Chacham have a Matona. The Kolchkein Lashmoya Divrei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Pshita da have a Matona. Ayin Shah. It's a funny teretz. When do we say it's not a matana? The guy gets nothing. But here he gets to do a mitzvah to Lishmoyim Divrei Chachamim. The matana is a matana. Now the Eibishter told him, it's versteht sich. When he was Moichel the 190 years, it's a mechila gemura. Zesh Amar Bala Goda, Ilu loy hoitza Kadosh Baruch Hu loy have mahani mashama pare are atem b'rishuscha hu kumoy tal yu v'yov matana. It's just a cute lumdus. There is a sefer, forget the name. Okay, but anyway, there's a fantastic story there. Story about the Rekeach. The Rekeach, the student, or the teacher of Kabbalah from the Chachmei Germania, Germany, had a dream. He was in the city of Worms. He had a dream that he's in heaven. And they asked the question, who's going to go teach Chochmah Nestorah to the Ramban? They also asked the question, who's going to have the schus to kill a Rasha? So he said, I would love to have the schus. So they said, both. So they said, okay, the schus is yours. He woke up, it was Erev Pesach, and he went to bake matzahs mitzvah, because it's a big thing to bake matzahs mitzvah at Pesach. Chazal say that the Yidden took the matzahs on their back. Why? They had a lot of behemoths. Because chibuv mitzvah, the mitzvah. So there is a special union of baking matzahs mitzvah on Erev Pesach. He baked matzah, he packed it up, it should stay fresh, and he said, Hashem Kodesh, anyone flying in the air. And he landed in Barcelona. Yidush shel Ramban.
Ramban.
Ramban. Yeah.
Nun.
Denu, Moshe Menachem. And okay, he comes before Yom Tov, and he comes to Beis HaKnesses, and after Ma'ariv, the Ramban passes by and he sees a Yid standing there. He says, "You have where to have the Seder?" He said, "No, okay, come with me." He goes to the house of the Ramban, and the Ramban asks him to say at Dvar Torah, go on the Shtaret, learn, and go. Seems like, is okay. At night, the Ramban gave him a place to sleep, and the Ramban told him that in the morning, wait to go with me together to Shachris. Why? Said there is a place in the city that a Jew is not allowed to walk into that place. And if Chas v'Shalom you stumbled accidentally into that neighborhood, Rachmana litzlan, then who knows? So wait for me, okay? So in the morning, the Ramban comes. The Yid is not there. Oi, what happened? We have a minyan already.
No.
What happened? The Ramban. So what happened? The Rekeach got up early in the morning, and he went. He knew exactly where he's going. He didn't fablunger. He went to that place, and he was caught. What is a Jew doing here? And it was the Galach. If it was whoever the Rosh was, if it was the Rosh, if it was whoever, he was brought in front of the Hegmoin, and the Hegmoin said, "But Jews not allowed to come here." So they're gonna kill him. They're gonna kill him. So they made a big fire, and they're gonna kill him. And they're about to kill him. So the Rekeach says Hashem Kodesh, and all of a sudden he looks like the Hegman, and the Hegman looks like the Jew. And they pick him up to throw him in the fire. And he starts screaming. He's saying, I'm not the Jew. I'm the Hegman. But they didn't believe him. He's screaming and he's yelling. So they have their tactics, how they calm a person down, knock out a couple of teeth, rashmat in his mouth, give him a par of schmitz, and they throw him in the fire. And that's it. Everyone hanging at him. And all of a sudden the Rekeach changed his tzura back to look like a Yid, and he left. And mysteriously the Rosh disappeared. No one knows where it happened with him. And he came back to the house of the Ramban in time to hear Kiddush. And he explained that he was doing a shlichus. So in the shlichus, while he was doing the shlichus, he couldn't talk. He couldn't talk. But then he said to the Ramban that his shlichus was to learn with him Seder Torah as well, and he stayed there for a month. And that's how the Ramban learned Nimius Torah. That's as we see, the Ramban writes a lot about thoughts that Al Pi Kabbalah. Okay, and this is a terrific story. Sheni de Elisha Ata Sachloi. So we're going to learn a few my morning about this, but the Rebbe asks, it's a pella that at the Lashon da Agoda This is Meloshin Vigadata Lebincha Bayemahu. Which son are we talking about? The Sheni de Elishel. It's funny, the Sheni de Elishel based on garnished. The Rebbe said, just like the says, you have to pick something up from the bottom. You have to pick up Klal Yisrael. You have to dafka be misasib with the yid that's in the bottom. There's a yid that comes here, and he's a Baal Shuvah, and he learned in the Adala Torah and Tavshin Lamed Ches Tavshin Lamed Tes. So the Rebbe used to come every year to Adara Torah to look at the Seder. He wanted to see what's going on. He would also go later to the Malchachara, which is for girls, Bali Tshuva. And then the Rebbe would go to the yeshiva, Templatum Lubavitch, that's which is now on the corner of Kingston and President, in the kitchen where to see the Seder. So he says the Rebbe came in. I went to free. So the Rebbe walked in. It's in the basement, the dining room. It's a small basement. The Rebbe walked down the steps, walked in, walked out. He says maybe 90 seconds. The Rebbe gave a bracha. The Rebbe was out. After the Rebbe left, Label Groner comes to him and he says, Reb Daniel, your egg and your zroya are reverse. The Rebbe told me when he walked out that I should come back. The Rebbe didn't want to say anything to you, didn't want to make a scene. Don't say it would be a busha. The Rebbe walked over. It's like a pretty obvious thing that the egg and the zroya as in the other way around. So the Rebbe sent Label Groner to go back to tell him to fix it. Okay. We got the minion?
Yeah.
Okay. The last piece you can read yourself. It's a beautiful okay.
Good night, Rabbi.
Okay, Shikach everyone for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the matzah over there.
And have a kosher and a freilich Pesach.
Amen.
Yes, amen. Hope to see you before.
Rabbi, can I ask a question?